I was born before Roe, but just barely. And most people today have never known a day without legalized abortion. And so they never stop to think, what would a woman need? What would she want instead of an abortion? They never ask, why are so many women having abortions? And because they just buy into the status quo, they never question and think maybe women deserve something better than abortion.
I ran into a pro-life activist, and so she sat down and she showed me a movie that really touched my heart. And so it made me start crying. And so when I got home, I basically prayed to God and asked him to help me. And so the next day I called the abortion clinic and told them to cancel the abortion. Abortion is not right at all. Abortion is just legalized murder to me.
I do sidewalk counseling, and so I'm at the abortion facilities. Sometimes I'm there when the girls leave, and their heads are down, they're sad, nothing has improved for them in their situation from when they entered the building until when they left, but now they have even more heaviness and sadness than when they arrived.
In recent years, pregnancy centers have been playing a vital role in providing women with real options. There's been a quiet campaign for women's hearts and minds going on in over 2,500 pregnancy centers across our nation.
And you know, they're coming into our clinics because we don't judge them, we give them education, we give them answers, and you know, 77% change their mind because of the services and education we provide with them.
At Heartbeat International, we call these very caring people that are staffing our pregnancy centers the foot soldiers of the pro-life movement, armed with love, because it is love and caring and support that we're armed with.
I serve with CareNet, and we have over 1,100 of these centers, more of them every day being planted in the urban community that are providing life-affirming solutions for women and men who find themselves in an unplanned pregnancy.
One of the things that amazes me too, though, is that not only are we saving thousands and thousands of babies, but we are preventing abortions by helping women understand their true dignity so that they don't choose abortion and they won't choose it the next time if they become pregnant because they have a whole different concept of themselves.
One of these places of hope is the Women's Center. Since 1984, the organization has helped nearly 37,000 women who are seriously considering an abortion to change their minds and keep their unborn children. Mary Strom has been the executive director of the Women's Center for nearly a decade.
We recognize that only the mother can choose life or abortion, and that if we really want her to choose life, we have to focus on her and on her needs and help her. Because a lot of times there are very serious circumstances and difficult things that are causing them to panic or causing them, to not think about any long-term decision, just my immediate crisis right now. And so there's a great deal of education that goes on, a great deal of listening, but it's getting to know her.
Since the Women's Center added ultrasound services a few years ago, between 75 and 80% of the women who were considering abortion as the plan for their pregnancy chose life.
We'll arrange for an ultrasound, and we feel that she has the right to know the truth that her baby exists, to see and to meet the baby. And of course, naturally women are bonded to their children, and a lot of times it's just seeing that child that overcomes all the barriers.
Pregnancy centers like the Women's Center are just one of thousands of centers that offer hope to desperate young women facing the reality of an unplanned pregnancy.
We give diapers. Last year we gave over $1 million worth of supply, of clothing and furniture and just things you need on a day-to-day basis. And they can come once a month after the baby's born. They can come once a month and shop for their whole family. We really do care about the women. It's not just their babies. We love the babies, of course. But be fair to yourself, love yourself, and give yourself the chance to be helped. We all need help.
I think there's a challenge for us as a human community that we have to be the people of love. We have to make it possible for men and women who are confronted perhaps with this pregnancy, to be able to carry their baby. There are people who will adopt, there are people who will companion. We should be celebrating new life, you know?
According to the National Adoption Council, in the US, there are between 1 and 2 million infertile couples and individuals who would like to adopt children. Yet more women choose abortion over adoption.
As someone who's adopted, it's really hard for me to grasp how our society can so easily write off human life as quote-unquote unwanted. So that's why I'm particularly passionate about this. I'm not only adopted, but I'm also an adoptive father. So I look at that loss of 55 million and it just seems, I don't know, it's painful to think of the lives that we are missing out on, the lives that could be impacting us, the lives that we could be loving.
When I would go through, once I worked at Planned Parenthood, and I would go through the options, and I would say, you know, you have one option, which is to have the baby and keep the baby. You have another option, which is to have the baby and give it up for adoption. And you have a third option of having an abortion. I really believed, from the bottom of my heart, I believed the abortion was the best idea. I saw the other two as being cumbersome and difficult and damaging to the person in front of me. I absolutely believed, to the bottom of my heart, that abortion was the best option for her, although I did not necessarily see it as being morally the best option for her. But I really did believe that it was the best way out.
Today, Planned Parenthood vilifies adoption all the time. You obviously see it in their numbers. They abort 167 children for every one adoption referral. But they say that adoption, on their website, in their tool for educators, they say adoption is more emotionally and psychologically traumatic than abortion for a woman. So you have the pro-abortion side demonizing adoption, and the pro-life side still trying to grasp how beautiful an option it is.
You know, my mom placed me for adoption 45 years ago. I had no say-so in the situation, but I grew up in a household that certainly was far from perfect. But when I was 27 years old, I sought out my parents, and I wanted to say to them one thing, and that was thank you.
There are millions of families out there who really would love to welcome a baby into their home, and they're facing fertility problems of one sort or another. They would love the opportunity to take a new baby and to make that child part of their own family. It's an option that very few young women think about, and yet it's probably one of the best choices they could possibly make at that stage. If a girl is pregnant and she doesn't have the kind of support or system available for her to make it possible to raise her child.
This is a beautiful and loving option, and we need to focus more time and attention on adoption because everyone isn't in a position where they should raise yet one more, especially in our hard-hit communities.
For a young woman who feels like abortion is the only solution and is offered adoption, she's able to see beyond the present moment and see what is possible in the future. And she makes a loving parenting option by choosing a couple who will love her child.